In this video, I'm going to share with you all a very common habit that I notice all my clients repeating, which ends up sabotaging themselves on their manifestation journey, which in turn delays the results that everybody wants. And it's going to be a pattern that a lot of you guys may already know that you're doing, but I know that a lot of you also may not be aware, and sometimes we need an outside perspective to point it out for us. So before I get into the whole topic and we start the video, as you already know, I'm Michael from EmbodyTheState.com, and all I ask from you guys in return is, if you find any value from this video, is to hit that like button, so therefore the same way it reached you and it helped you, that it can give value to someone else and help them as well in their journey. So that being said, let's just dive right into it. So those of us that know the law of assumption, and some of you may be new to it as well, to kind of summarize it, it's all about what you believe is going to become your experience. So your whole world is a reflection of your belief system, and we all have a core set of beliefs. And the beautiful thing about core set of beliefs is they're not permanent, which means the results that you find yourself experiencing currently today when you watch this video, it does not have to be a permanent thing. And that's the beautiful thing about this whole journey. You are not stuck in one reality where nothing can change and you're powerless. Instead, your beliefs shape your entire experience. And if you understand that by changing your belief system, you can change your entire trajectory that you're going to experience, then there's nothing to fear. So when you know that the whole world around you is your own personal reality, and you understand that your beliefs are the only thing that are shaping it, then it's not so scary, because you understand it's not about fighting the 3D world. It's only about being able to live within it, understanding it's just showing us who we already are. It's kind of like having a built-in cheat code if you think about it. You have a professor, in other words, that's sitting beside you as you're doing your exam, and it's telling you this answer is wrong. This thing, you should change it. And that's what the 3D is if you think about it that way. And that's also what your negative emotions are, your reactions are. It's like a GPS system that's telling you, hey, you're going the wrong direction. So just remember that when we get into this video, okay, guys? So the common problem that everybody seems to be facing, and when they come to me, it's the first thing I notice right away when they tell me their whole story, right? I usually ask clients to give me a summary of what's going on top of anything they feel that's bothering them on their journey, whether it's repeated bad habits with mental diet, whether it's certain circumstances that are bothering them. It doesn't matter what it is, but all these things are something that I personally observe when people tell me their story, and right away it hits me why things haven't changed in however many months or years they've been manifesting. And the answer that you guys are all waiting for, and what the whole thing is the patterns that you return to. It's the mental habits. It's the state that you're fusing with. We often don't even realize that we're repeating the old story so many times on our journey. So we discover Neville Goddard or whatever teacher brought you to the law of assumption, and we start applying what we know. But outside of those little techniques that we're doing, a lot of us, we're returning to the old story. We're returning to the old arguments. How many of you here can honestly say, we'll use SP as an example because it's the most common thing that people work with me for. And it's very seldom I get people that want financial security, I guess, and other things. Sometimes it's health, but mostly it's SP. So we'll use SP as an example. How many of you here are manifesting a person and you're upset with them in some form? They did something that pissed you off, whatever it may be. It doesn't matter. Something happened. And you find yourself returning throughout your day to those arguments and to looking at them from the perspective of being upset at them because of these arguments. A lot of you are going to say, yeah, I notice I do that a lot. I have inner arguments often, or I return to the traumatizing event that pissed me off or that caused me to be upset at my person, and so on and so on. And that's the number one thing that every client that comes to me, everyone that I work with, they're all repeating. And it's my job to just wake them up to that. And that's why I make these videos as well, is to wake you up to it. And a lot of you are going to ask, okay, so how do we change these habits? Because everything is about changing habits. It's all about understanding who you are. And more importantly, it's why you are that, if that makes sense. And when you realize there's certain concepts of the law that you can follow, which make sense of everything, the good and the bad, and why you shouldn't be upset in certain things, then you realize, okay, I can just walk through this and I can still feel how I want to feel regardless of what's around me. So with that being said, what I tell people to do often is to start practicing catching their awareness. And I want you guys to do this when you guys are waiting for me to upload the next video. So I talk about this in some videos in the past, but catching your awareness is very vital. And when you understand that you are constantly returning to the state that doesn't benefit you and serve you, and by doing that, it's why things aren't changing, then you realize all you have to do is now switch the habit and go to where you prefer. And that's what I tell clients, and that's what I teach them how to do in many different ways when we do our calls or whatever it may be. And for you guys, it's all about finding out what works for you. So for yourself, if you catch yourself having inner arguments because of an old story or an argument or something that they did that pissed you off, in that moment, I want you to catch yourself and instantly remind yourself, wait a minute, me doing this is not benefiting me in any form. There is 0% benefit in myself doing this. And if I continue to do this, then nothing is going to change. So then ask yourself, do I really want the results, yes or no? And if the answer is yes, then logically ask yourself, does it make sense to now sit here and to continue these inner arguments? And the answer is going to be no. And you're going to notice when you do this the first time, you're not really going to have to repeat this like conversation with yourself, because you're going to have it already in the back of your head because you already went through it once. But a lot of you don't even do that. A lot of you guys don't even analyze yourself logically like that. We instead look at this journey as, I have to find the next technique. I have to figure out what works and what doesn't. This thing worked for that person, so I'm going to ask them what affirmations they used. Failing to even realize it's your beliefs that shape your reality. It's not the technique that matters. So that's why for you guys, it's practice catching your awareness. And when you catch yourself returning to any circumstance, any old story, anything that's bothering you, all I want you guys to do is to instantly stop it right then and there. Remember the rules to the game that I just explained. In other words, it's that how illogical it is really, and how it makes no sense. It's not going to serve you, and it's going to keep you attached to your physical reality here. So when you go through that logic of it all, and speaking of logic, I covered that in my last video too, so feel free to check that out if you haven't already. But when you kind of look at your 3D circumstances through the eyes of logic, and then you look at your internal, in other words, reactions, or wherever you're placing your awareness and then reacting to, you'll realize a lot of things you do make no sense. And that's the thing a lot of my clients do as well. They'll come to me and then I'll give them advice, but then they'll start kind of returning back to old habits sometimes, right? And the ones that end up being success stories versus the ones that end up taking a much longer before they get there is simply the success stories have chosen to catch their awareness when they're focusing on things that don't serve them, and then they observe it through the eyes of God. They understand that logically this makes no sense. You can't do anything that's going to contradict the new you and then be upset that the results aren't showing you that you're the new you. And I'm going to share with you guys a very quick piece from a Neville Goddard book, and it's from Awakened Imagination, if I'm not mistaken. And I want you guys to really think about this, because this is the importance of your awareness. And remember, this applies to the good story and the bad story. So if you're going to the negative story often throughout your day, just remember what Neville is talking about and what I'm about to read applies to you, and it's going to fuse you with it, and you're going to understand what I mean very soon. So that being said, he said, if you would assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled more frequently, you would be master of your fate. But unfortunately, you shut out your assumptions for all but the occasional hour. Practice making real to yourself the feeling of the wish fulfilled. After you have assumed the feeling of the wish fulfilled, do not close the experience as you would a book, but carry it around like a fragrant odor. Instead of being completely forgotten, let it remain in the atmosphere, communicating its influence automatically to your actions and reactions. A mood, often repeated, gains a momentum that is hard to break or check. So be careful of the feelings you entertain. Habitual moods reveal the state with that you are fused, which you are fused. So remember that. Let me reread that last part. A mood often repeated gains momentum that is hard to break or check. So be careful of the feelings you entertain, right? Don't sit there and start being upset at your SP and then reacting emotionally at what you're remembering, because as Neville talks about in Feeling is a Secret, that in order to do that, if you're doing that, you are reinfecting yourself with the past, which is going to bring it life and then experience more negativity. So that makes no sense. So when Neville's talking about habitual moods reveal the state with which you are fused, that's the key part that so many people don't realize. What is your habitual mood? That's the thing that sabotages so many people. Their habitual mood is, I'm going to do techniques for a little bit and feel good for, as Neville says, all but that 1 hour. And then the rest of the time, it's, I'm upset they did this, or they haven't reached out to me, or they're focusing on the lack of finances, or how, their employer is being mean to them, or how their business isn't working. Whatever it may be, it doesn't matter what is around you. You are the one that gets to decide what mood you are in and what mood you are going to be in if you aren't in one that you enjoy. And the only thing that is causing you to have either positive or negative reactions is beliefs. So when you entertain a new state after catching yourself in a negative one, and you look at it from the eyes of God and the law, you look at it from in other words, the rules of the game, and you see how illogical it is to keep continuing these bad habits, it's going to be a lot easier to then release all that negativity, because you realize it's silly to hold on to these negative beliefs. So now that you're understanding it's silly to hold on to these negative beliefs, you can understand, okay, I as the creator can embody any single reality I want, any single state, meaning any single belief. So why not focus on those realities where it's pretty much the preferred reality that you want? It's not fighting against this current one. It's understanding, yes, I ended up in this current one because my current belief system, my natural dwelling state, allows me to experience these things that I don't like. But now I'm going to switch over to the preferred experience that I do like, to the preferred set of beliefs that I do like. And what do I like? I prefer to believe that I'm loved. I prefer to believe that I'm wealthy and things work out for me. And I like to believe that everything is working in my favor. So when I return to these things, it puts me in a state of relief and gratitude, as an example. And therefore, I'm going to experience things in the future, the near future, that are going to give me experiences that match the relief and the gratitude I felt, because I couldn't have felt those emotions unless I had a belief first. And as we all understand, beliefs are what shape your experience and what you are experiencing. And that's something that Seth talks about in the first two books. And it's vividly clear. Even Neville agrees. So many of the greats agree with this. So that being said, guys, I kept this video a little short for you. I am a few days early from when I normally release a video, but I figured I'll keep this one short. And that way you guys can kind of have a simple little, pick me up video, and I'm gonna work on a much bigger video for you guys that's gonna be coming next, most likely. So if you got any value from this, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and just hit that like button if you learned anything valuable. And all I'm gonna say is thank you guys so much. It's been a pleasure making these videos with you guys, and just the background and all this stuff, it's temporary. This is my temporary setup, so expect different stuff to be happening. I'm just moving things around for now. And in the next video, it's gonna be a topic that I don't want to spoil it, but it's going to be something where I'm going to start piecing things together for you guys. And I really want to start kind of creating series where I can just make playlists that kind of focus on individual topics. So you might notice that certain videos are going to be consistent regarding the topic that they're in. So lots of things I got planned for you guys. Thank you guys for watching this, and I look forward to the next video. I wish you all the very best. And remember, apply everything that you heard in this video and catch your awareness. Don't let yourself be fooled by the mirror that's showing you who you are. You're not supposed to react to the thing that you are experiencing constantly if you want to change what you're experiencing. It makes no sense. Instead, what makes sense is understand you got there because your mental diet allowed it, your beliefs allowed it, and now you're conscious of that, so we can change that physically. There's nothing to be afraid of, okay, guys? So that being said, feel free to comment below as well if you want any kind of questions to be covered in the future videos, and I'll be looking at every single one. So take care, guys.